Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining today's session. So my name is Anmol Rohatgi, and I manage the marketing technology strategy practice for Mirum India, and this is Customer Journey 101. I'll be helped by my colleague and a good friend, Arun Iyer, in case we encounter some sort of a technical glitch.
Hello, everybody.
So here's our agenda for today. Let's go through it real quickly. We're going to spend some time talking about the need for brands to have connected customer experiences and how Journey Builder can help in achieving that. And then we will jump right into a working demo to showcase how easy it is to create journeys. And we're going to leave some time for questions at the end. So if you have any questions, just post them on the Q&A panel and we will take them right at the end. So let's start. All right. So those of you who attended our previous session will be familiar with this slide. In our previous session, we spoke about how Salesforce as a platform caters to the entire marketing funnel, right from targeting the unknown customer to nurturing the known one. For today, our focus primarily will be towards the known customer and how Salesforce Marketing Cloud as a platform and its tools can help improve and optimize your marketing efforts. So these are some stats that were published by Salesforce in their recent connected customer report. While we all know the importance of creating one-to-one connected experiences, I mean, these numbers just, prove the point to a certain extent. About 80% of the customers say that a company's as important as its products and services. Over half of the customers have stopped buying from a company altogether because a competitor provided a better customer experience. In fact, about 2/3 of the customers have agreed that they are willing to pay a premium provided they are given a great experience. So we all know today's customer is as connected as they are ever to their devices. I mean, we are so connected to our devices. It wouldn't be wrong to say that we are more close to our devices than our spouses. So the customer today expects uniquely personalized experiences. Ask yourself as a customer, right? You will agree that you would rather look at giving your mind share and your wallet share to brands or to products and services where you see things like seamless handoffs or contextualized engagement based on your earlier engagement with that particular brand. Now to get to that 360-degree understanding of each customer and build an ecosystem and build experiences around it, brands today need a new breed of technology and rich customer data. How do we do it? So Salesforce Marketing Cloud is uniquely positioned to deliver on this vision. With Marketing Cloud's Journey Builder, you can create seamless, personalized one-to-one experiences in real time across digital channels, across devices, and that too in no time. And we'll have a look very shortly. But the question is, how does Journey Builder deliver connected, personalized customer experiences at scale? So Journey Builder listens for key customer events across their life cycle. It could be abandoned carts, form completes purchases, channel engagement, etc., etc. And it allows the marketer to react with the right message in real time. Journey Builder enables us as marketers to be able to react to customer engagement or lack of engagement. It helps us to test and understand what channels are performing the best, and also help us to decide on the route that we need to push our customers to take in their complete life cycle. And all of it is automated, completely automatic. So there are three components to delivering a relevant, personalized customer experience via Journey Builder. So the first one is know your customer. The second one is personalize with intelligence, and the third is engage and analyze across the entire journey. We'll take a minute in explaining each of these. So when we talk about knowing our customer, we do not mean any abstract vision of the customer. It cannot be a probabilistic persona that we have kind of through research found out that, okay, this kind of works. What we mean when we talk about knowing your customer is having tangible data: customers' browsing history, demographic details, purchase history, transaction details, any previous support instances or support interactions that the customer has with the brand. One very good example for this would be, and this is one of the QSR clients that we've been working with since 4 years now. How they have, right from not understanding their customer and just collecting the data, they have moved to building a complete, single view of customer, if I can call that. So this QSR brand, the ecosystem is such that they have their own equity stores, they have their own flagship stores, they have franchisee stores, and they have stores in malls, outlet, and various other outlets, etc., etc. Now, everywhere the collection of data is completely different, in completely different format, and in completely different systems. All of these data points are siloed. With Marketing Cloud and by the use of Journey Builder, we were able to kind of collate everything and reconcile the identity, regardless of the customer touchpoint. And this was across multiple devices, multiple sources, online as well as offline, and multiple channels. Once we collect the data, we unify the data and activate the data in Marketing Cloud. How can we personalize our messaging? Before even getting into personalization, let's first focus on something very important. We need to understand, for every journey that we create, we need to understand where does your customer lie in their journey with your particular brand. They could be onboarding, they could be a customer who's buying at this right moment, they could be loyalists, they could be lapsers. To understand the customer's touch points across the journey gives us a perspective about goals that each milestone of the journey has to have. And this goal, we'll come to discuss about this goal in a while, is very important when we are setting up the journeys. Now, once we understand what are the goals of the journeys, it's very easy to personalize. Salesforce has a very powerful personalization engine, which can bring any data to life. For example, brands can listen for a case being closed on a Service Cloud product or any of their own CRM and send up a follow-up survey to a customer. Or if the response to the survey is negative, Journey Builder can automatically reopen the case, so the customer receives a follow-up phone call. So now that we have the data, we are harnessing the power of personalization. How can we further engage with the customer? So we listen to customer cues throughout their journey, and we can easily pivot when we are using Journey Builder. For example, when I talk about listening to the cues, what I mean is, did they just download our mobile app? Or have they just given their opt-in to receive push notification? Another example could be a customer creates a case with your support team. You trigger a message which is a response to the customer in real time on customer's preferred channel. At the same time, you're also sending out or you're also creating a task for your escalation team to take that customer's input and kind of work towards it. This is something that we have again worked on, and we have delivered for one of the automotive giants in India. Where one of the examples that I'd like to share is that, while we had the data, while we had all the channels of engagement and we had analyzed the data, what we started doing was we started setting up automations in Journey where, if a customer wants to book a service, he can go online, fill in a form, immediately a service token will be generated. The workshop at which the customer has chosen to get his car serviced receives a notification, the workshop manager receives a notification, and there's a follow-up call from the workshop to reach out to the customer. Having said that, let's look at how this will look like to a customer. Let's look at some examples. So let's take retail journey in action. So the goal here is a new customer acquisition. So a consumer opts in to receive a mobile message. This triggers a journey. The customer receives an SMS with a 20% off code for the next purchase. A day later, invitation to download the mobile app of the brand is sent out. When the customer downloads the app, they are prompted to complete profile on the reward page, so they become a part of your loyalty program. In that process, customer also opts into the email list. Customer receives an email with product recommendation basis their browsing behavior in app as well as their browsing behavior online on the website. And later that week, while browsing through Instagram, the customer comes across a product recommendation and a sale that is happening at the nearest store. So that's one example of how the journey would look like to a customer. Now let's look at a little more serious example, something around financial services. Again, here the goal is new customer onboarding for credit card. The consumer fills out a form to apply for a new credit card. A welcome email is triggered as soon as the form is submitted online. Email link to online profile is sent out as a second trigger. Customer fills in the form. The moment customer again fills in the form, an SMS and an email goes out to the customer to download the download the app of the brand. While downloading, the customer again opts in to receive the push notification. The moment he installs the app, he receives a welcome push message. So if you see, we are cutting across devices, we are cutting across channel, and the last channel that this customer will then go through is while walking by, while shopping in a shopping mall, the customer receives a push notification on the mobile device for a special offer. Because the customer is at a location where there is a particular brand that is participating with this particular credit card company, we were able to geofence it and we were able to send out a push notification. So now let's jump in. Let's see how journey builder in action. So what we'll do today is, for the context, we have created a couple of journeys, but in this session, I will start creating journeys from scratch. What we're talking about is a fictional mutual fund company. It's called Mirum Finance. Sorry for that. And we'll look at a couple of things here. So one very important thing, if you remember, we discussed in our last slide, was knowing our customer. While it's out of context for this particular training, it is very important for the functioning of Journey Builder. What you see here is the nerve center of Marketing Cloud. This is my SVOC. This is where all the data, we are unifying the entire data for the brand. We are pulling in data from their investment systems. We are pulling in data from their website form fields. We are pulling in data from their recommendation engines. We are pulling in data. We are pulling in their legacy data. We are pulling in the transaction data. We are pulling in product data, etc., etc. Everything is being reconciled and being attached to one particular customer. So each record, when we look at each of the record, each record is essentially a single view of the customer. It contains demographics, it contains transaction details, it contains the investment propensity for this particular use case that we'll be discussing, etc., etc. So once we have this in place, we move on to Journey Builder. And we start creating a new journey. Yeah. So what we're looking at is, the journey canvas. So this exactly is the screen where the entire magic happens around journeys. We'll just name it as new journey. WPP. So when we're building a journey, one very important point to note is to decide who enters the journey and at what time. So if you see on your left hand panel, right, we have certain tiles. Now these are very important tiles. These are the building blocks of this particular product. So let's talk about the entry sources, which is the first one. There are multiple ways you can inject a person into a journey. What we see here is the first is data extension. Data extension is nothing but the name that Salesforce Marketing Cloud gives for a table of data where the customer details reside. API event. API event is a simple API event. Say for example, if you have if you have a website where you do not want to where you want to basically target behaviorally, where you're seeing a person is visiting a page and taking some action on the website, you can trigger an API for that particular customer, and if that customer resides in our SVOC, he will be triggered. He will be put into a journey. Then there's something called audiences. Audiences is basically population where you want to do some sort of batch and blast, etc. A very important entry source is cloud pages. Now, what is cloud pages? So cloud pages with Marketing Cloud, you get the ability to build your own landing pages and microsites on the fly. I mean, it's extremely easy to build. So let's have a look at how to build a cloud page first, because what we'll be doing in terms of the use cases, we'll be injecting data from a cloud page. So this is a cloud page that we have made for this particular session. Let me just showcase how easy it is to build a cloud page. So on the left, you see the construction tiles. This is a WYSIWYG editor. You can just drag and drop. Simple development, simple setup. What I do is I just start pulling in data, just start putting in content here. I just select this. I just select this, and that's it. Now all I have to do is, once I create this, and I have options to set up layouts, etc. I have set up a form. There's something called a smart capture form where I'll be collecting the data. Now this smart capture form is already integrated with the journey. We will showcase that to you in a bit. Again, this is again very easy. You have a data extension. You pull it as a form on the page, and that's it, and done. So this is how easy, and to publish it is very simple. You just schedule and publish, and the page will be published. To save time, we have already published this, and this is how it looks. I know this kind of looks tacky right now, but we try to kind of keep it limited because of the bandwidth issues that we might have faced today, or we might face today. So this is my cloud page. Now jumping back to Journey Builder, we have discussed data extension, API event, audience, and cloud pages. There's something called Salesforce data. Now Salesforce has native connectors. Marketing Cloud has native connectors with the Salesforce core products, which is Service Cloud and Sales Cloud. When we have those connected to Marketing Cloud, there's a lot of stuff that can be done by using Journey Builder from the data that resides in Sales Cloud and Service Cloud. So Salesforce data is that particular piece which will inject data into a journey from your Sales Cloud and Service Cloud instances. An event, and the last but not the least, and a very important entry source again, is event. And what is event? Event is basically that you want to set up automation where a communication is shot out or a journey is triggered basis certain actions. In our case, what we will be setting up today for this session, and the first use case would be using an event entry source. We will be setting a journey which sends out communication for a systematic investment plan renewal, which happens every month. So these are the entry sources. Then we move on to the activities, which is the second pillar of the entire Journey Builder ecosystem. And what are these activities? We can send, these are basically channels. We can do push notification, we can do WhatsApp message, we can send out inbox notification. If you see that your brand or if your customers are very active online, we can send out line message as well. We can do in-app messaging. We can send out SMSs and emails. So these are primarily the channels that are available. Apart from this is completely customizable. So what you see WhatsApp app is something proprietary to Mirum. We have built it. It's a custom block or it's a custom activity that we have created to integrate WhatsApp communication on any of the journeys. Apart from this, we also have a social angle stitched into Journey Builder. Using Journey Builder, we can create audiences and we can operate ad campaigns on Facebook and we can create audiences across majority of the social media channels. We'll come to flow control, etc. once we start building the journey. So let's start. So the use case or the context right now would be that I already have a customer base. I have a customer base who has invested into a systematic investment plan, and we need to send them reminder every month, at least twice, just 2 emails or 2 SMSs just before the date of their renewal. So how do we do it? What we do is we simply drag the event tile here and we start configuring. Please note that there's no coding, there's no development required. It's just drag and drop, very easy to execute. Because we know that we are sending out reminder and it is supposed to be at a particular date. We select date-based event. We do next. Sorry for that. We do next. If you remember the contact model that I showed you, the nerve center, the single view of the customer, that has something called, one of the attributes or one of the tables that is connected there is the investment master. Investment master has something called last transacted date. What we are saying is that every month we decide that this has to go on monthly. What we say is, basis my last transacted date, please enter these customers days after their last transacted days. And this has to be repeated monthly. We decide the time at which they need to be entered. Let's say 4 p.m. and that's it. Next and next. Done. So my entry source is done. Now let's move on to activity. We know that we have to send out an email and an SMS. So let's do one thing. Let's just select an SMS activity, create an SMS on the fly, and activate the journey. New message, so all of it, your entire creative, your entire message, copies, etc. can be built inside the Journey Builder panel itself. The renewal reminder. Due date. We click save. We move to message configuration. We select how do we plan to send this. We select opt-in. Summary, done. So that's it. So that's how you create a simple journey. So that's one. Now we move on to flow control, right? So now we know, I'll explain a bit about flow control. So flow has something, flow basically helps you define the route that you want your customers to take. So one of the very important tile in the flow control is wait. Wait tiles or set of wait tiles help you stop the journey or help you pause the journey for some time or pause the communication before sending out the next communication. So let's see. So I've sent out an SMS and the customer did not renew on the day. I wait for a day, or rather what I do is I wait for 2 days and then I have to send him another reminder. Now I have to check whether this customer who has entered the journey, has he actually renewed or not. How do we do that? That's again pretty easy. There's something called decision split, which helps you read the data in real time and take decision. I configure the decision split where I tell the tool to check whether the customer has transacted or not. If the customer has transacted, that's it. So if the customer has transacted, we do nothing. But if the customer has not transacted, we send out a push notification or we can send out a WhatsApp message. Building a WhatsApp message is again pretty easy. You go into this renewal reminder, you type your template content and done. So that's more or less around this journey. A few other things is something around goal criteria. You can define when this journey has to be stopped. You can also define who receives, and you can also define during the journey if you want to exit few people from the journey. So for example, in this particular case, a customer discontinues the investment plan with us. Due to some reason, the data has still not flowed in because it's a nightly update that is happening in our system. Now what do we do next? Because we know that the renewal is tomorrow and this person will receive an SMS today. So what do we do? There's something called exit criteria. We set that up as well, which says that, okay, if we see there's a tag that says that, okay, this customer has moved out of the system, please exit him from the journey itself. And that's it. We save it. Then we validate. The system helps you validate the journey, checks each nodes, check the configuration. As it says that add default email address, pretty simple. Done, revalidate. And we're good to go. And we just activate it. Yep. Simple, right? So now let's look at a little complex scenario. Again, we'll start building something from scratch. So let's look at something that we've built. We talked about the data flowing in from cloud pages, right? So this is an onboarding journey that we have created for this particular session. What we'll do is we'll try to replicate this. So let's send in some data to Marketing Cloud. We'll start filling in some details here. So it is Delhi, submitted one. Let me submit the second one. All right. So now that we have put in some data, what we have done is we have created an entry source using the cloud pages here, and started checking the attributes that we've started receiving. So the first thing that we need to check is that the customer who has filled in the detail on the website, whether he's an existing customer or not, we create a decision split and we configure it, which says that, you know, the email that is being received from the form, does it match with my SVOC somewhere? If it does, then put it in the positive path and exit. We can do certain, so what we'll do is later on when we'll come back here and we'll add some activities. Now, what if the email is not matching with the unique ID that we have for this particular customer in our systems? It means that this customer is a new customer and we need to immediately start an onboarding activity. So the journey has started. The moment we move on to the remainder node, there's a decision split which checks whether, so if you see this page, what we have done is we have given 4 options. The first, there are 3 actual options and the fourth one is not sure. So there could be a possibility where the customer who has read through and read about mutual funds but still not sure on which kind of plan to go for, so that they can submit a not sure, and then we can come back to that. We can send them a separate communication, completely different track altogether. So what I'm saying here is, with this decision split, if the lead has chosen anything which is debt, equity, or lump sum, we have to send out an email. I have created this email, and let me showcase another power of personalization on the platform. How does that happen? So here's my email. Now I know that you know, there is a variability in the data that will come in. There will be some data which says that okay, they are interested in debt funds. There will be some data or there will be certain leads who will say they will be interested in lump sum, and there would be some in equity. Now, creating just one creative and just changing the elements, we can personalize this experience completely. If you see, I start with the subject line. Subject line, what I do is I am personalizing basis the choice the customer has made on the website, right? So what I say is, hi, first name being the field name for the form in the data. Let's talk about product interest with the interest that they've shown in the investment. Now let me show you how easy it is to personalize this. I type hi, there's a button to personalize. If you see here, I select my data source. And it has my first name. Hi, first name. Let's talk about the product interest. And that's it, done. So that's subject line. Next, we move on to the email, the body of the email. So email editor on Journey Builder, again, is a WYSIWYG editor similar to the cloud pages. Very easy, very simple, just drag and drop. What we have done is, basis the, so the idea is, you know, we showcase certain funds of our brand basis the choice the customer has made. What I have done here is, then there's something called dynamic content. What I have done is I've created a rule which says that if the product interest is debt fund, just replace the creative or just replace the content here for the relevant content which is around debt. Same for equity and same for lump sum. There are call to actions, etc., defined in that. Apart from that, still if the customer is not satisfied or is not impressed or convinced to invest, there's another call to action which says that, okay, he wants to schedule a call back. Now to show you some stuff, so what we'll do is I'll just show you how this mail will look to anybody who fills in the data. So I select this. So you must be wondering what is this. So this is basically cloud page. WPP is a cloud page, is the container in which we are collecting everything on that particular lead form that we have filled in. I select this, and there we go. Let's talk about debt funds. Immediately it changes to debt. Let's talk about lump sum funds. Changes to lump sum funds. Let's talk about debt. Let's have a look at something in equity. Simple. Moving on. Now that we have sent out an emailer. This emailer is completely personalized, and we can personalize it to the extent of using the data that we are receiving, which could be gender, which could be city, as well as even the investment bracket. Sky's the limit. I mean, whatever data that we are collecting from the form, we can use it to create dynamic and very personalized communication. Now what we do is we wait for 2 days. Now that we have sent out, we wait for 2 days, and then we introduce something which is extremely interesting. It's called the engagement split. If you can see it here, this is called engagement split. Now what I'm checking is after 2 days, the leads to whom I've sent out this email, how many have actually opened the email, or have they not opened the email, right? So if you see, I choose whether they have opened the emails, or they have clicked on the emails, or the emails have bounced. So these are the options that are available. So what I'm saying here is, if they have opened the email and the next engagement split is, and if they have clicked on one of the URLs, which is schedule a callback. So if you see, what we have done is we've just created one sample. It does not lead to anywhere. It's just a sample URL. We can select what all do we want the customer to do on the email, and we can possibly create versions around that as well. So I've selected my call to action, which is schedule a callback. If the customer clicks on it, what should happen? There's a request that goes out to the call center. Call center calls the customer does the transaction, right? And once the customer does transaction, wouldn't it be good to send out a communication right after transaction that, okay, sir, since you have transacted, why don't you download our application? And the channel of communication to send out app download notification would be WhatsApp. So what do I do? Again, in the same table that we have collected, since we have built a single view of the customer, I check the table, and on the fly, I check whether the customer has transacted or not. If the customer has transacted, I send out a WhatsApp notification. Again, completely personalized. I wait for a day. I see whether he has downloaded or not. Again, I again put a decision split here. I configure the decision split. I check whether the person has converted or not, converted into an app customer or not. If he has converted, send out a push notification and then exit. But what if he has not even opened? What if he has not even opened my email? What do I do? There's another very important or very interesting activity that I can do. What I can do is I can take all the people whom I have sent out my onboarding communication, and I can put them into an audience. I can put them into a social ad audience, simply like this. Enter an audience name. I select a destination. Our account is connected to Facebook right now, hence we can only use Facebook right now for the purpose of this demo. I select my ad account. I select data origin, and I just map my fields. So the two important fields for Facebook are email and mobile and email, and that's it. Done. So that's another part of it. But what if they've opened and not clicked anywhere? I send them out an SMS, right? I send out an SMS and then I start following up with various other activities, etc., etc. Now, after this, I also want to, I do not know. So when I start the journey, I do not know when would the customer start engaging with me. So there's something very interesting that Journey Builder has to offer, and it's called, and it's related to artificial intelligence. The proprietary AI engine for Marketing Cloud is called Einstein. So Einstein tiles, if you see here, there's something called Einstein send time optimization. What it does is, once you enable this, at any node, what it does is, in the backend, it's actually always calculating the propensity of and calculating basis a model. What is that opportune time at which we need to send out a communication to one customer? When I say one customer, it's an individual model that is being created. So it would be a different model. So it would be a different time. Say, for example, Arun, for some of you, for me, it could be 5 p.m. For Arun, it could be 7 p.m., etc., etc. When I activate this Einstein send time optimization, it's simple. The system will wait and measure the propensity and send out the communication at that particular time where the probability of interacting or engaging with the communication is the highest. In the similar fashion, there's something called Einstein split. Now, what Einstein split does is it kind of creates intelligent segmentation for you, and we'll look at it in a bit. So we'll look at it. Let me create an Einstein segmentation here for you. Let me just take you through the overview. So what does Einstein split do? It helps you create segments basis the engagement that is shown on the communication that has been sent out from Marketing Cloud to your customers. So what we can create is, we can create persona splits, we can create web conversion likelihood splits, we can create click likelihood splits, we can create open likelihood splits. And yeah, so I know that, okay, basis this, the most likely to open, more likely to open, less likely to open, least likely to open, and remainder, I can actually create email communication catering to these segments. So as simple as that. Now let me show you. So so let's do something a little interactive. While we'll not be able to send out communication, let me just create one journey which is actually accepting the records or accepting the inputs from the form and just injecting and just dividing those journeys. So very simple. I go to multi-step. I select cloud page as my tile, as we discussed in the previous journey. I select the page that I have created, which is already here. I go to next. I do a done. Now what I do is, I want to see how many. I just do a simple split for segmentation. I create a split which says so, just filter out people who have chosen, and I add another path which says just filter out people who have just chosen equity. And I just change the journey settings. That's it. What I will do here is I will create an exit. So anybody who's entering not sure has to be exited. Sure, done, next, done, save. Activate. So let me see if I can send this out to everyone on the session, and if everyone can fill this, and then we'll see Journey Builder in action. So I just need to send this out. Just give me a moment. So if you see your window, you must have received this URL, the question answers panel. If few of you can actually send it out, and I'll take a brief 10-second, can fill out the form, and I'll take a 10-second breather to just have a little bit of water. Let's see if we have started receiving any data. Perfect. We are getting some data. So now let's look Journey Builder. We had created this journey. I have unfortunately not named this journey. So yeah, we are starting to see people coming in. See that? Give it a moment to update, and that's it. I recommend if few of you can actually fill in the details. Yes, we have some good data now. Amazing. In a while, we'll start seeing. So these are the contacts that are already accepted. We'll see it. It takes a bit of time for the journey to actually reflect it, but it's nearly real. It's near real time, the communication that goes out. We are just splitting the data right now, so we'll start seeing it in a bit. While we are looking at it, while doing that, let me also show you one very important feature again of Journey Builder, which is A/B testing. You can use Journey Builder to run your A/B tests right from the dashboard itself. Pretty simple. It's again drag and drop. You can actually have multiple versions of your emails, and you can test out and you can send out. So let's create another journey, which is my A/B test. For A/B test, I take a data extension as my entry source. I select a data extension, and then there's a tile called Path Optimizer. Now, what does Path Optimizer do? I can actually configure Path Optimizer to select email engagement and decide on the winner basis the click rate or open rate or unsubscribe rate. Decide for how long do I want to run this test. Then I create a split. I can choose 10-10, and then for the winner I can actually choose the rest, and then I wait for the winner and then execute. As simple as that. No issue of getting onto multiple screens, no issue of getting onto multiple tabs, etc., etc. Everything happens inside a screen, one simple flow of activities, and that's it. The other very important thing and a very important question that comes up quite often is there a possibility to segment? Because I have my data sources, right? I have built my single view of the customer on the platform. I cannot just blindly pull in the entire data and send out communication. This is a very valid point. At some point in time, we want to run certain campaigns. We want to segment data basis certain intelligence that we have received from the market, from our sales teams, etc., etc. Now, how do I actually go in and how do I do a segmentation? That again can be done inside Journey Builder. And how do we do it? When we say we are doing a segmentation, we select data extension as my entry point. I select a data extension. I will select this and I will start segmenting now. So in this screen itself, when you're setting up your data extension, you can select your single view of the customer, your master data extension, and you can start segmenting. So I just want to send communicate to people in Mumbai, male, gender, and their status probably is investor. Sorry, status. Age. Let's pick age. Can't find age either. Yeah. So let's put status. So status basically for this purpose of this demo is status is how long have they been invested into our company. So let's say 3 years, and done. And I have my logical operators here. So I can do segmentation as well right from the Journey Builder canvas. Apart from this, in terms of capabilities, if you have your Service Cloud or Sales Cloud connections, you can create tasks in your CRM, you can create opportunities, you can create lead basis the engagement that is happening on your communication, you can create cases, etc., etc. So there's a lot of activity that can be integrated if you have Salesforce CRM as well in the entire scheme of things. Apart from this, any other external platform that you have can communicate with Marketing Cloud. It's absolutely open. Again, as I explained, my entry event there becomes API. I just select API, I configure the API, I get the call, I set up it on my original system. We set up rules and send out that, and simple, as seamless as it can be. So yeah, so that's more or less about Journey Builder. I think I've overshot the time a little bit. Let me move. So yeah, so that's it. I mean, let's. So the very important point here to note is, while we showed you certain parts of the journey, right, and how journeys are created, brands can spend a lot of time mapping out these journeys, and this can sometimes become a big exercise without any ROI, without any heads or tails. Some brands actually in our what we have seen is rather that some brands have actually taken this exercise of having a customer journey strategy to actually improve their internal processes or to gain certain key insights about their customers in their in the life cycle of that customer. You can have as complex journeys as possible on Marketing Cloud, and you can have as simplest of the journeys. The idea of this session was basically very simple. So just to give you an idea of how easy it is to create journeys and how easy it is to execute them on the fly. So what Journey Builder has done is it's taken all the development, all the heavy lifting out of the hands of marketer. It's all completely automated. Now, as a marketer, what we need to think is who do we want to enter the journey, what communication at what channel, and what type of personalization that needs to go out. And that essentially is what Journey Builder is assisting us to do. Now, one takeaway would be, you can start thinking of what a journey for your brands or your clients should look like today. From what is involved in acquiring a new customer to actually handling use cases, etc., etc. But yeah, we have to start somewhere, and I hope this session was, that thought starter that you guys might have been looking at. And with this, I'll open the forum for questions. So let me look at some questions that we might have had. Yeah, one very important thing. Somebody just messaged me that they wanted to see how the activity that we did, how does it look like now? So let's have a look. So we've collected some data. You guys have filled in some data, and let's have a look. So this is how it is. We have split that data into multiple parts. We also have something around exit. I don't think so. Somebody filled in. So we have 15 people. This kind of this also shows you that how many people are there in the journey, etc., etc. So yeah, so that's more or less like it. I think that answers the queries. So yeah, so let me take up a few questions. Is it possible to find out how are the beliefs, goals, and friction points for your prospect who inquired through digital media different from those who walked in or telephoned? So again, if I've understood correctly, this is basically a simple exercise in data collection. You have to have certain identifiers, for the data collection. I hope that answers your question. We can have a follow-up if you want. How is the data gathered? How is the data gathered from offline touchpoints? Again, as I said, the very important thing is collection of data. You can have multiple. So if you are a retail, or if some of your clients are into retail, they're running certain stores, they can have iPads, or they can have tablets which are running a simple cloud page URL that I showed you earlier, and they can start collecting data. You can also have, if you're in store and you have POS systems, you can actually integrate those POS systems with Marketing Cloud, and that data can flow in. Otherwise, it would be, it would be counterproductive to, suggest that you have forms, physical forms in the store available and ask the customer to fill those. Nobody does that nowadays. So yeah, so I believe that answers the question. Can WhatsApp be used for reminder messages? Yes, absolutely. There's no constraint on the channel that you want to use. You can use any channel for any sort of an activity as long as it makes sense for your brand. So what can be tested using A/B testing? Right. So using A/B testing, you can send, you can choose everything inside an email. It could be the subject line, it could be the content, it could be the color of your submit button, it could be your call to action, it could be your hero image, it could be the copy, the body copy, it could even be the logo. Can we have A/B testing between journeys? Yeah, good question. For now, no. For now, you cannot have, but we can. It's a little bit of a developer question. Out of the box, you cannot actually have an activity which kind of puts in a winner right up, and then you take the journey forward. But yes, there is some development angle to it, and it can be done through journeys. It's a bit more technical side of the setup. Yes. So there's another question which has come in which says WhatsApp allows only transactional communication, isn't it? Yeah, it does allow the transactional communication, and it does allow transactional communication, and that is why we actually included it once we received the transaction. If you remember the demo that we did, if you remember the use case that we did, we had the transactional communication only. So since the customer has already transacted with us, we are sending out the WhatsApp communication, which will obviously have something around the transaction that he has performed, as well as the link to download an app. I think that brings us to the end of the questions. I don't see any other question. So yeah, in case you have any questions, my email is there. I will be I'm just adding my email in the Q&A section as well. You can reach out to me directly. And I'll be happy to answer those. Thank you so much.